Hello!
Hey there!
Welcome back to our episode of Infamous Landmarks, Part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2.
If you're gonna be stupid, you gotta be tough. As our beautiful goddess of a woman, Ksusha, said. So,
Yes.
thank you for joining us again this week.
Yes, and your input is probably some of the most fun commentary that we have gotten from somebody outside of our podcast. So we get advice usually after the video is uploaded. We'll get some, it's like, hey, you're wondering what this was. It's this. Or, hey, you're having trouble pronouncing this. This is how you pronounce it. But we got that live right here with our Ksusha.
Ksusha. Love her so much. Anyway, let's get into it.
It's my turn.
Your turn, your turn, your turn.
We're here to tell you about another infamous landmark.
I want to hear it.
And it's my turn.
I'm here for
it's
it.
Karina's turn.
Since some of you
get
can't
it.
tell us apart, I don't know how. We sound drastically
know.
different.
Jamie was the one who talked about Grenoble.
Yes, that's
And
good.
I was...
Okay, teacher's pet.
I know, right? I'm such a teacher's pet. Oh, my God. I'm the one that's going to be talking about the next topic, which is here in America.
America.
Oh, Joseph is doing a drum roll for me. The Cecil Hotel.
Wait, which kind of hotel?
Cecil Hotel.
Okay.
The Cecil
this one.
Hotel.
I don't know anything about it, so please don't.
Ooh, you're gonna like.
I don't
this,
know all the
think.
stories,
Okay.
but I do know Elisa
no,
Lamb.
don't know what you know because I don't know and I want to hear.
Okay.
Yeah, do you know the name of
Okay,
Elisa
well
Lamb?
let's just have a little adventure, okay? There was a lot of stuff that went down here, and I can't hold you guys hostage for 12 hours, so I can't talk about all of it, but I can give you the information so that you guys can do it on your own time at like 12 o'clock at night, okay?
Okay.
Deal. Let's do it. So, the Cecil Hotel is located in Los Angeles, California, in downtown. It has the names of the Hotel of Death. Dun, dun, dun. So, the Cecil Hotel, it is a documented landmark. We're going to go into the history of it, but it was documented as a landmark in 2017. It's been open for a while. But in 2017, the city of Los Angeles made the hotel a landmark, and it has a different name. Today, the Cecil Hotel is known as the Stay on Main, after being renamed in 2011. It holds 299 hotel rooms and 301 single rooms for occupancy residents. And it had been closed for a while. There's multiple places that say it is open or it won't be open for or it's not open yet, but maybe it's just open to a select public because people do like reporting pieces and videos on the place on a normal basis. So they are accepting people in. So let's get into a backstory of the Cecil Hotel, or the Stay on Main as we know it. This article I found, it was a very dramatic little intro, of course, because you have to catch the eyes of people. But it says, from the day the Cecil Hotel opened, multiple suicidal and cultural issues have impacted the establishment more than anyone could ever foreseen. Years of scandal, murder, suicide resulting in the paranormal? Question mark?
Exclamation point.
I know. I was, as soon as I saw that the Cecil Hotel is open to, amongst like the many people they open up to, it is paranormal investigators. I'm like, ooh, would that be fun? Is that a thing?
I don't think I would want to go there specifically for the stories that I know that happened there.
Yeah, and the fact that it's still opening and functioning, which is very interesting because it opened in 1927.
Wasn't it like some of the rooms were hotels, but some of them were like apartments?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh.
Like, it has 200 something hotel rooms and then 301 residency, like occupancy residency, which means you can have a room or like two rooms, and then they'll share like a community bathroom or something like that.
That's how my dorm room
More into
was,
that.
because I went to college in New York, and my dorm room was like in one of those buildings like that, where like the rooms were really tiny, but you shared a bathroom sometimes. But then there was also like communal bathrooms. And then there was like 4 showers per floor, and they were the most disgusting things ever in my entire life.
We don't like it. But it opened in 1927. It took approximately 3 years to construct. Originally, of course, it was supposed to be like a lavish, comfortable, polished spot for business travelers and Hollywood tourists and the elites. After taking 3 years to construct, 2 years after the Great Depression hits. So, kind of quickly, the hotel became a hotspot for violence and crime activity. And the only thing that I could find that connected all of this, like why did this place all of a sudden become a hotspot for crime? It probably already had some due to very high-powered people being there. They like to do sketchy stuff. They like to have fun because they know they can get away with it, you know? But the only thing that I could find was they were working on railroads very nearby. And since the Great Depression hit, things were at a cheaper rate. So they let people who were working on these railroads, which were unfortunately, not saying all people are like this, but they were, you know, the more underclassmen. They had to work very hard, which means a lot of mental health issues. And unfortunately, that results in a lot of drugs to kind of cope with those mental issues. It also...
Isn't it on, like, Skid Row now or something?
That's where they were... Skid Row is where they were working on the railroads. But it's very close by to Skid Row. So a lot of workers would stay there. But it just became a place where these lower class people would go who would have these unfortunate weaknesses, and so that brought in probably not the best business to the hotel. So online it said the tragedies were more than likely prompted by the Depression, along with the hotel's proximity to Skid Row, which was, again, a not so well off area because there was a lot of housing for workers on the railroads, and people would also stay in the hotel. And then on top of that, when they were starting to come out of the Great Depression, they started, you know, the city started making money. And they're just like, oh, the Cecil Hotel? That place was old news. We're going to make more pretty, more lavish, more hotspot places to stay. And they built those around the Cecil Hotel. So now the Cecil Hotel is just trying to gain residency however they can. So in about 1931, we have drugs.
We have drugs.
You have drugs? I don't. Where's the drugs?
Where are the drugs?
Where are the drugs?
We have a lot of drug activity around this hotel. We have, not saying it's a bad thing, but we have a lot of sex work around these hotels, or this hotel. And then November 19th, 1931, we have the first documented death.
And what year is this?
1931.
1931.
We had the first documented death at the Cecil Hotel.
4 years after it was open?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just to like kind of piggyback off of like the sex work stuff. Like you said, the sex work part is not the problem. What the problem is it attracts people who aren't
involved
the best
in other illegal activities.
Right.
Yes.
It also attracts like, because there are a lot of people, especially like once you start getting into like the 50s, 60s, 70s, people look down on that profession, and so they believe that these people are less than, and then that's when like all the serial killers come about, and they're like, oh, we're gonna murder these people because they're less than.
Oh, and we are gonna get into it. So, 1931, a man committed suicide. They did not give the name. I'm sure you could look it up if you decided to dive in a little bit deeper into, and when I say deeper, I mean like death registries, you know, all that kind of stuff. But since then, there's documented over a dozen other suicidal deaths, murders, overdoses that happened at the hotel. And now, around 1932, it is known as the place where people go when they're really down on their luck, which is heartbreaking. So a hotel like this that has obviously not a lot of luck. Eventually, they're desperate. The hotel became a single room occupancy operation, and they were wanting long-term tenants that would stay there, rent their rooms, and share bathrooms with other residents. And that worked out for a lot of people because they would want to work in town. And because the place was not really the greatest place known, it wasn't that expensive. So people could afford to live there. So then it starts attracting a worse type of people. By the mid 80s, a horrific, disgusting serial killer.
I know who it is.
Named the Night Stalker.
Can I tell you his name?
Yeah, I have it. I have it right here, but yes, you can.
Richard Ramirez.
Yes, she will not let you tell you.
Richard Ramirez.
Guess who knows all the serial killers? Me.
So the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, who was popular for, unfortunately popular, wide-known serial killer, who is known to murder at least 14 people and tortured dozens in California before being captured in about 1985.
However, his end, the end of his story is my favorite ending of any serial killer.
Rotten hell.
And I will let you tell them the story.
Do you guys know what happened?
So yeah, I have that story, which I was gonna say. So after he was captured, go ahead.
Or his face was plastered all the newspapers, and then he like gets back and he's like, "Oh shit, my face is in the newspaper." And then this abuela is like, "Demon, he's a demon."
Aww.
And he like takes off running. He tries to steal a car, but the first car that he tries to steal, I don't remember exactly what happens, but I think the guy like punches him in the face and drives off. The second car he tries to steal was from a girl who was like getting in her car, but her dad runs out and her brothers run out and start like punching him in the face. And then he takes off running, and he's just running as fast as he can. These people are starting to chase after him, and then a huge mob joins, and like this mob is chasing him and like going as fast as they possibly can. And then they finally catch up to him, and they're beating him to a pulp. The police show up, and they're like, "Yo, So, like, when he was, like, killing people, he would make people praise Satan. But when the police got there, he was like, "Thank God you're here." And which is so ironic. And then he ended up getting saved by the police. But then, my favorite part of the entire story, he is an awful person, and I would never say this about anybody else, but he ended up getting jaundice. His skin turned, like, highlighter green, because if you get jaundice, and you don't get it treated, you turn green. And then he ended up dying of lung cancer.
Yes, and I don't understand why.
An extremely painful lung cancer.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I want you to keep that in because it is very pertinent to what I was essentially saying.
Oh, really?
I didn't have his capture, but it's he decided to take up residency at the Cecil Hotel. And even though he's native to Texas, he was just like, I need a new scene, you know? So he terrorized Los Angeles for about a year, from 1984 to 1985. And he lived at the hotel on the 14th floor. And in the summer of 1985, because his face was plastered everywhere, Los Angeles residents caught him after recognizing him from newspapers, and he was convicted of 13 counts of murder, 5 attempted murders, and 11 sexual assaults. Yeah. So, very much so, leave that detail in there.
I might take it out for time-wise, but if we're, like, good on time, I might leave it in.
Okay. So, next, that's one serial killer. In 1991, so 1985, one killer gets taken out of Cecil Hotel. In 1991, another one comes on in and decides to take up residency at the Cecil Hotel. The serial killer, Jack Unterweger. Do you know him?
Does he have like a one of those like names like the Night Stalker?
Not
I can see his
necessarily.
face.
He's an Austrian.
What's his name?
Serial killer. Jack Unterweger. So Unterweger.
He's thought to copy Ramirez's crime.
I have heard of him, but very briefly. I found him boring because he was copying someone.
Yeah, so I mean, and a lot of people who are copycat serial killers, they do want to go to the places where they've killed. They do want to do kills the same way. They want to be able to eat the way they eat. Like it's a whole mental thing. But pretty much Jack Unterweger was an Austrian serial killer who committed murders in several countries, including Austria, West Germany, Czechoslovakia, and the U.S. He was convicted in his home country in 1974 of a single murder, and he decided to hop on over to, what, do you want to add something?
I was just going to say Czechoslovakia is now the Czech Republic and Slovakia. It's split up into two countries.
I mean, that's probably very true, but it wasn't
No,
back
I know,
when
I
they
was
were
just-
writing this article about him.
Fun fact.
Oh, fun fact. Okay, I love a fun fact. Let's do that. Okay. So, I saw him as soon as
No,
I
it's
said
okay.
Czechoslovakia. He looked at me, and he just went, like, poor thing.
Sorry.
But he checked into the hotel, and he was actually a resident there for a few years. During his stay at the hotel, he allegedly killed at least 3 sex workers, unfortunately.
Which is what I was saying earlier,
and
that
just-
like people, and like I feel like sometimes it's a crime of opportunity when it comes to sex workers, and sometimes it's like specifically hunting sex workers down to like, because they're like, oh, these people are sinful and they need to die.
Nobody
Poor
will miss
sex
them.
workers.
And nobody will miss them. I know. It's really heartbreaking. But in 1994, the government of Austria found him guilty of 9 murders, and he was issued a life sentence. So he's rotting away. Then, again, there's nothing insane that goes on other than, what the hotel is known for, which we've already covered. And then in 2013, we have Eliza Lamb.
Ooh, I know this one.
She dies at Cecil Hotel. And
There's a whole documentary on Netflix.
There's a whole documentary. There's so much research on Eliza Lamb. If you want to look her up, you could possibly spend all day on it, because she is technically an unsolved murder. Okay?
Which I have my own theories on that, but I'll save it for another.
Yeah, we have everybody. I think everybody has their own theories on Eliza Lamb's death. But in January 26, 2013, Eliza Lamb, who is a 21-year-old Canadian student, checked into the hotel in a hostel-style living dynamic. So in the occupancy rooms, she had roommates in the hotel, and the hotel, for some reason, started getting complaints that about her. And so they moved her, and this is extremely simplified to the largest degree. But she got complaints, and she got moved to her own room by herself. And then January 31st, okay, remember, she moved in January 26th. On January 31st, she was declared missing. And then 3 weeks later, on February 19th, a guest complained, or multiple guests actually complained, of low water pressure and the taste of the water being off. And shortly after, her body was located in the water tank with her clothes at the bottom of the large drum that was on the roof. So she was unclothed, and her clothes were found in the bottom of the barrel.
So watching the documentary, okay, before watching the documentary, I was fully convinced that it was somebody murdered her and put her in there. After watching the documentary, I don't believe there was any foul play. Because like the thing that was like tripping me up was that they found the water tank with it open. However, in the documentary they interviewed the maintenance man, and when he went up there to check it, he opened it and didn't close it back. So, well, no.
Yeah, there's just a lot. There's a
Well,
lot.
no, I don't know. I actually don't know what I believe.
Yeah. There is a lot, and I highly recommend you watch YouTube videos, you watch the documentaries, because it's so many different people's theories, inputs, along with the actual facts. There's CCTV footage following her around. She seemed dazed, confused. Like, there's so much around this case that has just...
And she was notoriously known for being mentally ill, and I think
Yes.
she wasn't taking her medicine properly or something. So that was another like factor of me being like, she could have possibly. Also, like, they want to state, like, the hotel, it states like, oh no, there's no way she could have got up there, but somebody disproved that. Like, somebody got up there without assistance.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, unfortunately, it was declared an accidental drowning. They said there was no drugs or alcohol located in her system. And it's just, in general, just a major conspiracy it's a major mystery with like a bunch of conspiracies wrapped around it, a bunch of people's opinions. There are a lot of facts. There's just that little tiny space of time where people have no idea what happened. So this huge investigation happens. It takes a couple years. You know, you have everybody coming in doing these documentaries. And in 2017, or in 2016, they shut down for renovations. But in 2017, it was considered a landmark. It's called the Stay on Main now. So if you go in California, it's the Stay on Main. I don't recommend you stay there. Let's not stay on Main. We can investigate Main, maybe, but don't stay on Main. But yeah, that's my infamous landmark. It's a documented landmark. It's a crazy place. And now you guys have plenty of things to search on Google when you're trying to fall asleep at night.
Yeah. Actually, it is nice.
She said, yeah, it is nice. I'm about to fall asleep.
It's the beers.
But yeah,
it's the beers and the cookies.
Yeah, that one always like caught my attention, like that landmark.
Yes.
There's also that Freddie. There's also that so American Horror Story has a season, kind of like, it's not about the Cecil Hotel, but it's like inspired of the Cecil Hotel. I think it's really cool.
Yes.
It's very fictional. So
yes.
There's that.
It's very fictional. It involves vampires and other creepy crawlies and those. Yeah.
She's just rolling.
All right. You know the question?
Okay.
The question I have in my severe influence head is Cecil Hotel really has a lot of cases like this, or is just people talking about it?
It's like a lot of cases like that.
What if there's
it's
all other
hotels
hotels
like
have the same stuff, but the people just don't talk about it?
Oh, no, there are, 100%. But it gained traction because of its proximity to, quote-unquote, not well-off locations.
Specifically Skid Row.
And
which, do you know what Skid Row is?
Specifically Skid Row.
So Skid Row is a, it's a street that, like, it's in Los Angeles, right? Where, drug users go, and like it's only homeless people and drug users like live on that street, and they don't, like, it's not in buildings, they all live in tents and stuff.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So it's its proximity to not well-off places, along with when you hear somebody has died at a place, the only reason that you really go, or reasons, is one, you don't care, depending on the death, because it could have been something that was completely, like, natural causes, like a heart attack or something like that. Or two, you're curious.
That's what the Stanley Hotel's
one
about.
death.
Like the Stanley Hotel in
Yeah.
Colorado, that one, like people come around from all over the world and they go and stay just to like experience paranormal activity.
Yeah. And so
I
it's
have a
like
story about that.
a lot of people went for there. I mean, and it ended up ultimately getting really sketchy at one point due to the amount of drug traffic, not so well off people, sex workers being in near proximity. So it just turned off a lot of people, unfortunately. And they think all this triggered from the Great Depression. So I think it was just too much happening in a short period of time. It gained a reputation because a lot was happening in a short period of time. And then it got the name of like, oh, this is the place that you need to go for not so great things. Even though the Cecil Hotel was trying to fix their image, they couldn't. But since it's been around since 1927, and it's still in the front face of it in its original state for the most part, it's considered, a historical.
Wow. What amazing, infamous landmarks. I'm also glad that you went second because mine was so depressing.
This one's also
and mine
kinda
is still
depressing.
kind of depressing, but at least the serial killers who stayed there got caught.
Yeah. That we know of. But yeah, that was our episode.
As our episode.
Hope
you enjoyed. Yeah.
Giddy.
Giddy.
Damn, Ksusha, she got moves.
I know. Look at her go.
Thank you.
You know the deal. Drink your water.
Before and after whatever it is you're doing, working out, writing a paper for school, walking in the door from work, before you even leave to go to work, you better be taking care of yourself.
Before you go to sleep, after you wake up, drink that water. Take care of yourself. Your body, you only got one of them. So,
Yep.
take care of it. The better you treat your body, the better your body will treat you.
Physically and mentally, because if you're mentally not there, your body will deteriorate. There is factual statistics around it.
Facts, man. Facts. I think it's the first time that we use that.
Oh my gosh, they've never heard facts, man. Facts.
We'll have to tell them that story one day.
I will gladly tell them that story. But not today, because we have to close out this podcast because it's gonna be too long if we talk too long.
That's very true.
But anyway,
I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
You better have a great weekend and a great rest of the week. We'll see you next week for another episode here on As Told by ADHD. Okay, bye.
I was dancing. Okay, bye.